Sure.
Oh, nice. Okay, Carmen.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Yasodhanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Vrajajana Nandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Giriraj Maharaj ki, Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. Happy Govardhan Puja, everyone. I think the full festival will be celebrated on Sunday at the Alachua temple. So hopefully you can all make it and take darshan of the hill and the wonderful preparations and the ceremonies that they have there. But today, Govardhan Puja, we will depart a little bit from our normal Bhagavatam class, and we will focus on this wonderful pastime or occurrence that has happened in Krishna Lila, and it continues to happen both in the spiritual and the material world. This worship of Govardhan Puja. So, but we will start with our Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So it's quite a daunting, it's a mountain task to glorify a mountain in 40 minutes. So I find it's quite difficult to choose, well, what is it I want to speak about today? And I haven't chosen yet. So, but we'll start with our obeisances to Giri Govardhan. This is a tradition, I believe it's from the Garga Samhita, but it's very, everyone going around Govardhan Hill chants this obeisance to Giri Govardhan. And it's very simple, so you could repeat after me. Namaste Giri Rajaya. Shri Govardhana Namine. Ashesha Klesha Nashaya. Paramananda Daine. So this obeisance to Giriraj is Namaste Girirajaya. We offer our respectful obeisances to Giriraj, the Krishna who has assumed the form of a mountain. Giriraj, the king of not only a mountain, but the king of mountain. And what is the name of that king of mountains? Shri Govardhana Namine. The name of that mountain is Govardhan. And that the word Govardhan also has a meaning within itself that has a lot of import. So go means cow. It also can mean senses, and it can also mean the brahmanas. But for the most part, within a cowherd community, go is the cows. Krishna has grown up in a cowherd community, and that is also his eternal abode, Sri Vrindavan, in a cowherd community. And so go, the first part of the name Govardhan, is referring to the cows. And Vardhana or Vardhana is that which nourishes, that which provides nourishment. So when we eat, we get nourishment to the body. When we hear something pleasing, we may nourish our sense of hearing. And so there is nourishment that we gain from multiple avenues through the multiple senses. But the nourishment of all the residents of Vrindavan is this Govardhan, because Govardhan is supplying nourishment to the cows, to the senses of all those who go around Govardhan or live near Govardhan or live in the valley of Govardhan. and the brahmanas as well. So Govardhana namane, we offer our obeisances to this king of mountains, who is known as Govardhan, that nourisher, very nourishing aspect of our Vrindavan Dham. Ashesha means to bring to an absolute end, no more. Ashesha, kleshadi karas, we know in Bhagavad Gita, the disturbance of all the miseries of disturbance itself. So the klesha, those influences, adhyatmik, adhibodhik, adhidaivik, these kleshas, they are influencing us. You could say they are anti-nourishing us. They're always some trouble from the mind, from the senses, from the weather, from mosquito, from other living entities. These klesha adhikaraste, that they're constantly like a burden to the living entity. But this prayer is ashesha klesha, to bring an end, nashan, and to not only bring an end, but to make them completely like insignificant. So this Govardhan, we that's why we're saying namaste. Because just by being in his presence, the presence of the Govardhan hill, one feels this, and many of you have been there and visited, and it's quite astonishing. It may be very difficult to get there, and then the mind may be having so many difficulties at one time or another. But if you can just stop and sit down next to Govardhan, and it's not just me. I tell you, everybody who does it, when they sit there, they feel these miseries just completely disappear. Shesha, klesha, nasaya. And okay, so that's negation. We go to Govardhan and we're freed from that, and we get nourishment. But then Paramananda Daini. Daini is to give. He's a gifter. He's a giving Dainya, to give this very wonderful. What is he giving? Paramananda. He's giving great happiness and bliss to those who engage, even not engaging in the service, just by being there again. And there are other prayers like that. Just be in the presence of Govardhan. Just be in the valley of Govardhan, and this automatically happens. So Govardhan, we can approach this day, this Govardhan Puja, in multi ways, but we start with our obeisance because although many of you may not have experienced Govardhan yet in this lifetime, you will sometime soon. But this is one of Krishna's primary pastimes in Vrindavan. We could say there are different kind of benchmarks, or what do they call it? Yeah, I think it's benchmarking when you find something. Oh yeah, we got this part, and then we go to the next big thing. So there's Krishna's childhood Leela that we celebrate this whole month. Krishna's, the darling of Mother Yasoda, the Damodar Leela. We have that. Oh, so many things interspersed there. And then there is the Govardhan Leela, and then there is the Leela with his cowherd damsels. So this is one of the primary Leelas. And when we listen to Srila Prabhupada, if we have the opportunity to listen to him regularly, almost all the time when he wants to describe the greatness of Krishna in a setting, mostly around, he'll always say, oh, you profess that you're God? Can you lift the Govardhan hill? That is God. So Govardhan is also our proof of Krishna's supremacy. But again, there's still, because now we have even less than 40 minutes. There's so many different angles. There's the Govardhan Puja ceremony, which is in itself starts today. The whole Govardhan Leela pastime, ardent followers of Govardhan observe 13 days of a festival in their minds and their manasa, and and it started 2 days ago actually. So there's that, and then there's the tattva of Govardhan, or the uppercut, the unmanifest form of Govardhan that we hear from the Puranas and we hear from Garga Samhita, of the greatness, majestic, inconceivable aspects of Govardhan in size and breadth and in qualities. And then there's the Leela of Govardhan. Again, we talk about that. And then there's the what is manifest currently to Govardhan, of Govardhan. What is it we can experience today? And then there are certainly the relations of Govardhan's devotees with Krishna and with Govardhan himself. So there's so many different aspects, and I kind of brought a little of everything, and I still don't yet have decided which way to go. But I mentioned the 13-day festival, so this just kind of is just interesting information. So on Diwali, and this year the Vaishnav calendar is a little funny. Not every year it seems to match up, at least to, because we're kind of cramming a Vaishnav or a lunar calendar into a solar calendar. And so there's always little problems there. So some people celebrated Diwali yesterday, some people celebrated on Monday, and it just depends where you actually find the TT of that particular occurrence. But there is something very important about Diwali in relationship to Govardhan. And this is something that Krishna felt is very important in his pastimes with those residents of Vrindavan. Now, if we just think about the tattva, or the truth, or the absolute truth about these residents of Vrindavan, these are eternal associates of Krishna. They are absolutely pure. There's no tinge of contamination in them. And they're there to assist Krishna in his pastimes. But because they're also coming to this world, sometimes there is, I wouldn't even say a contamination, but there's an influence. And so in this world, it is quite important to follow Varnashram Dharma, or to follow different prescriptions of how to live and act. And so these Vrindavan residents, following the Vedic culture, were into this. They were doing this. And the pastime that culminated just the day before Diwali was Krishna accepting food from the wives of the Brahmanas. And his point in that, because, and for those who are familiar, Krishna was hungry out in the forest, and the cowherd boys went to try to get prasad. You can sum it up in a sentence like that. But is Krishna actually hungry? Is a question. Did Krishna eat dirt? So is Krishna hungry? Yes, Krishna's hungry. But is Krishna, and again, these are dilemmas, you could say. Well, Krishna, he's a Supreme Personality of Godhead, self-satisfied, but he doesn't like that rap. He doesn't like that reputation. He said, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, worship, filled with all this awe and reverence, it doesn't please me. I really like it when my beloved, chastises me. So yeah, I ate dirt just so the mother Yasoda would chastise me. And so you could say, was Krishna hungry? Was he not hungry? But the devotees of Krishna thought he must be hungry because I'm hungry. And because he is Atmayata, he is just like us. He's ordinary like us. They don't see him as God. They don't see that Aishwarya, that opulence. Nama Ishwaram Satchidanand. They don't see that part of Krishna. They say he's just our chum. I'm hungry. So Krishna, he hadn't eaten any time when I was with him. He must be hungry too. Let's get some food. So how do we do that? Okay, go to the brahmanas, and then I'm going to get caught in these sidebars. But the point of that pastime is that Krishna didn't like to see, even in the outskirts of Vrindavan, anybody focused on anything other than him. And so he inspired, you could say, again, it's pastime for teaching us. He inspired the brahmanas to shun the boys. No, who are you guys to come here and ask? We're doing Vedic sacrifice. We have to chant these mantras. We can't get involved in all this. But then when the wives of the brahmanas, it's not like they're needing any convincing, any one, two, here are the goods and pros and cons. No, it's like Krishna's hungry. They dropped everything, took everything that was for their husbands for the big sacrifice, and they took it. So this was the day before Diwali. Then on Diwali, Krishna was still in that area, and he saw those same brahmanas starting to get ready for another big sacrifice, even though those same brahmanas were a little disturbed with themselves. Oh, what have we done? Look at the purity of our wives. They were able to surrender like that. But again, they were used to a schedule. The brahmanas were used to the schedule, so it's time for Indra Yagna in a couple days. Let's start this. So Krishna saw that, and again, he felt not only now this time he didn't just see some of the devotees on the outskirts of Vrindavan, but then he saw his father, his mother, all these people he dearly loved, that they were diverting their attention from Krishna to this demigod Indra. And this did not bring any happiness in his heart. And he also knew, so there's a lot of things going on in this pastimes. He also knew the heart of Indra. Indra was very proud of his position as king of heaven. As when we become kings of anything, we become very proud of it. It's natural. And so he devised this way that first of all, and the acharyas speak on this at great length of his propounding the karma mamamsa philosophy, which means you do this good thing and you get this good result, and he proved it through 5 different types of nyaya, and there's details on that, but we won't go into that. But basically, with Mother Yasoda, with Nandamar, with all the residents of Vrindavan, sometimes they see an aspect of Krishna in his majesty and they become bewildered. Or when they're doing a cultural thing, they think, okay, this is it. We've just always done it. But Krishna is always there to bring them back through his energies, through his pastimes, through his words, through his activities. So he really at first there was this back and forth between Nanda Maharaj and Krishna. Okay, well, you want to do, we'll do one. We'll do one for you. We'll do one for Govardhan another day. And Krishna said, no, I want this, as children often do. I want this now. Because again, it was breaking his heart to see these devotees, the highest devotees, his most intimate devotees, to be diverted in any way from him. And so that was decided on Diwali day. And then the next day, it's supposed to be a pratipat, but yesterday was some strange Vaishnav calendar occurrence that it's not a Pratipat. But today is the Kartik Shukla Pratipat. So Shukla means the white, or it means rising, or the waxing of the moon. So there's two parts of Kartik. There is the waning part of Kartik that we've just finished, and now we are starting the Shukla part of Kartik. And the Shukla part of Kartik is almost exclusively, there's a Govardhan related pastime on every single day of this Shukla Kartik. So on this Pratipat, this is when they came together after they were fully convinced by Krishna, and they began the worship of Govardhan Hill. And it's so wonderfully described. Sukadev describes it very briefly, but it's so Srila Prabhupada expands on it from Sukadev's words and in the Acharyas in his Krishna book. So it's such a wonderful read to hear and experience all that Krishna would just wanted them to do. Because one of his arguments was, well, you're doing this Indra Yagya Pita, but have you ever seen this Indra? Has he ever come? And how do you know? Because he was, again, preaching karma mamamsa philosophy. He's saying, oh, rain's going to fall everywhere. Falls on the rocks, it falls on the ocean. It's not needed there. Why do you think you have to worship Indra to get rain? It's going to rain. And you're putting so much effort in this, but have you ever seen him? Do you even think, does he actually even exist? He's putting this down. And they said, well, no, we're convinced. But he said, but Govardhan is right here. Govardhan, he is nourishing us. And there's so many wonderful verses of Govardhan, how, with the peaks of their mountain and the jewels and the rivers and the water and the fresh grasses and the caves and the roots, everything Govardhan is just giving freely. And he says, this is the Devata, this is the big person we should be worshiping. And then they were just so charmed by Krishna. When Krishna is charming, there is no greater charmer than Krishna. When he wants something, he'll do it, he'll get it. And so they're so charmed by Krishna, and they worship Govardhan. They did everything he said. And what do kids generally like? They didn't say, I want quinoa, or maybe some oatmeal or something. No, it's like, I want sweet rice and boris and halava, and this is what we want. So it was like such a festive occasion of like, yes, okay, that's what we're gonna worship Govardhan with these things, and take all those other things, and then we can also, because it's go puja, go krida today as well. So there's worship of the cow, worship of everything to do with Govardhan, and a rural agricultural, the Govardhan Hill and the cows. These are the life of the Vaishyas. So he wanted to worship the cows, he worshiped the hill, and they did a big circumambulation. Everybody was so happy, and they were feeding themselves until they could only do anything but just laugh and be completely happy in this occasion. And they all went, and then when this was going on, Krishna manifested himself as a second personality. Now this is quite this is not described in Sukadev's word in detail, but it does say that Sukadev does say that he did manifest himself as the Govardhan Hill. But then the Acharyas give us a little more information on this, how that the hill had a big mouth, gaping mouth, smiling mouth with eyes, and big arms extending miles and miles and miles. And he would take all the offerings, bring it right into his mouth, and then he would say, Anayor, bring more. And then they would bring more, and then he would take it and he would put it into his mouth, and he would go more. And on with his other hand, he would go to Indra. He would be pointing. Not for you. Not for you. And so that, and then Krishna, just to make it more dramatic, Krishna, he would say, "See, Peter, see what? Look at this Devata. He's come. This is just our first Govardhan, and look, immediately he has come. We've never seen Indra come for anything, but look at this. Look at this reciprocation." And it was just so real and observant to them. It was so evident that yes, Krishna is right. And by worshiping Govardhan is an instant reciprocation. And to this day, devotees still feel this when they go near Govardhan or go to a Govardhan, uh, the Govardhan Hill, or to any function with a Govardhan Shila or anything, they feel immediately some reciprocation, some satisfaction. And so Krishna was so proud. He was so happy that they got it. It wasn't like, okay, now we have to convince ourselves that this hill is good. No, this hill is non-different from Krishna, the Supreme Personality God. He is the great Devata. And even to this day, Vrindavan Vasis, or people who live in Vrindavan, they talk to him as a person, not as a place or an object or just a hill. I remember, I remember in my youth there was a hill called Horse Barn Hill, and that was the hill to go sledding on. And it was like everybody knew what Horse Barn Hill was, but there was no like reciprocation. It was like you go and you have fun. Yeah, Krishna manifests himself as a giant Govardhan. So, thank you. So this reciprocation continues today. That when we go and we associate, or even just hearing about Govardhan, we should feel some satisfaction. And so then there was a day. Tomorrow is the Dvitiya, Kartik Shukla Dvitiya, and that's a celebration of the sisters giving some recognition to their brothers. And so Upananda's daughter, Sunanda, she came and she worshipped Balaram. Balaram was the eldest, so there was some worship. And it was just like everybody was just basking in like, oh, that was such a great day yesterday. Everything's so nice. But then on the Tritiya, which is on Friday, Indra gets angry. So he gets angry and he starts pouring rain, and with such a malicious intent as well. The intent was so malicious. He wanted to not just make a point, but he wanted to kill everybody. This was his mountain of pride, as he is often described of having that mountain of pride. And so fast and so powerful were those clouds that immediately the whole Raja area became inundated and started to flood. And then immediately the reaction was to go to Krishna. Krishna, we believed you. We did everything you said thus far, and it's been just so wonderful. Now we go to you. And Krishna, Krishna, Mahabhaga. Oh, Krishna, you were such a great personality. You were so all auspiciousness to you. Please save us from this torrent of Indra. And he just smiled. It wasn't like, when we have a hurricane coming, there's emergency management. They start response teams and everything. They set up a control center and they try to figure it out. What do we do? And they deploy FEMA here and they deploy the electric trucks there, and they're all getting ready. It's not like that. It was just Krishna just smiled. Said, "Don't worry, Nabaista. Don't worry. Just come, Govardhan. The same Govardhan will protect us." And so Krishna lifts Govardhan hill to the amazement of everyone, and he's holding that hill. He's holding it. First, he's holding it in his hand, holding it in his left hand, and they're starting. And the people are starting to think, "Oh, Govardhan just ate so much food. He must be so much heavier than even before." Krishna, how can you only use one hand? And they're worried, and Yasoda's agreeing, yes, what they're saying is right. And Krishna again smiles, and he just goes, whoop, he puts it all, those 5 fingers to one finger. And not only the strong, you think, okay, this finger, sometimes the thumbs are very strong, but it's like, no, it's the pinky, the finger that, you almost could do without, but, except to show daintiness, right? When you drink a cup of tea, you must show your pinky, but there he was, just in the midst of all his devotees, who never before this had such an intimate setting to appreciate Krishna. There were other times in Vrindavan that all the cowherd boys were together with Krishna, or the parents and all the those in the Vatsalya Ras, the parental old elders, they're all together. And then sometimes all the cowherd men would take the boys and they would show alphabets and things like that. And the gopis at this time, this is called the Purvarag stage of their awakening of love for Krishna, and they just saw him from a distance. But now, and there was one occurrence before this, in the Kaliya Lila, when everybody came and rushed to see Krishna in the grips of the snake of Kaliya, but it was a ghastly experience for them. It wasn't like a happy, even when he was dancing, there was always a doubt. Well, it's okay, yeah, good jump, and he jumps up. Oh, good one, and then they laugh, and then they go, oh, the heads rise up. So there was always this tension of anxiety for Krishna. But here it was, and that was just a muhurta. A muhurta is like 48 minutes for the Kaliya Lila. But this was days of seeing Krishna. And in that situation, like the Sudaram Assembly House, in that situation, there's no hunger, there's no thirst, there's no tiredness. So you imagine if we are never hungry, never tired, never thirsty, and our eyes don't even get dry, and you're just able to look at Krishna. Everyone there is looking at Krishna in their own relationship. And this is described oftentimes in Krishna's Leela, how everyone will see Krishna slightly different. The wrestlers see Krishna as death, or as the greatest hero. Kamsa saw him as death. The Brahmanas saw him as the benefactor of sacrifice. The gopis saw him as the most beloved. But so here they're all reciprocating. Krishna, the hero of our Vrindavan. Look at this. Look, what is he doing? And so many pastimes are going on. Madhu Mangal, the jokester, he's playing all kinds of jokes, and he's playing jokes on Mother Yasoda, because Mother Yasoda is so doting and like, oh, Balaram, you're strong. Why don't you help him? There was so much joking, so much. And then, so this went on until the Navami, which is the 9th day of the Kartik Shukla Navami, and that correlates to next Thursday, October 30th. That's when Krishna, the rains, Indra, and again, we don't have time, we only have 5 minutes. The rains subsided. Indra understood, he came to his senses, and that is a whole another thing you could talk on for hours about Indra's repentance, Indra's coming to his senses. And then Krishna puts down the hill exactly where it was before. And by his Shaktis and by his potencies, the hill wasn't even damaged. Not even a single leaf had fallen from a tree. And so this is astounding to the King of Heaven, who commands endless armies. And he puts it down. He said, now you can all go home. You don't have to worry about Indra anymore. So, and then there are a few more days in the pastime, but this was astonishing to everyone. And the cowherd men on the day after the Dasami, which is next Friday, the cowherd men, and it's fun because you can actually on each day you could read a little something that correlates with the day. So on that day, the cowherd men got together and they just started discussing how wonderful Krishna was. And they was going through all the he killed the Putana, the cart demon, the Trinavarta, all these things. What is this? What is this boy all about? Maybe, when Prabhupada tells us, he always you can hear him taking the different sides. Maybe he is a Narayan. And then Prabhupada says, and that they're not even sure of. So the last verse of that chapter is a, you could say it's a summary. Oftentimes Sukadeva Goswami will summarize an entire age of Krishna or a pastime of Krishna in a single verse. And sometimes these are called Paribhasha Sutras, which are they are like an illumination. They illuminate the pastime. And so this is such a very beautiful, I think we sang it last year. Deve varshati yagya viplavarusha vajamsha varshalila siddhat pada pashu shri atma sharanam. Atma sharanam. They fully surrendered to Krishna. Dritvanukam kyutsmayam utpatyaika karena shailam abalo vilo chilindram yata bibrad goshtamapan mahendra madhabit Priyanna Indro Gavam. Priyam, with great love, or will he be satisfied with us? Priyanna, will he be satisfied with us? Because now we have accepted him as Indra Gavam. The sacrifice was meant for Indra, but now we consider him our Indra. No more will we consider this other Indra, who has a mountain of pride. So I'll just read this translation and look at Krishna when you hear this. Think about all the things we've heard, because this sums up the mood of the day. Indra became angry when his sacrifice was disrupted. And thus he caused rain and hail to fall on Gokula, accompanied by lightning and powerful winds, all of which brought great suffering to the cowherds, animals, and women there. The klesha was evident. It was powerful. It was disturbing. When Lord Krishna, who is by nature always compassionate, Krishna's very nature is compassion for his devotees. Paritinaya Sadhanami comes to for his devotees and all of his relationships. He's always putting his devotees as the foremost of his concentration. So this is his quality, his very nature of Krishna is to be compassionate to his devotees and seeing their condition of those who had only him as their shelter, their sharanam, ekasharanam. He was, this is our whole philosophy right here. Lord Chaitanya came to teach Sharanagati, to surrender to the Supreme Lord. And this is the process that you accept Krishna as our only shelter. Don't accept these rituals, these other activities. Only accept Krishna as your shelter. And again, what does he do when he smiles? Don't, Navaishta, don't worry. He smiled broadly and lifted Govardhan hill with one hand, just as a small child, picks up a mushroom to play with it. In this way, he protected the cowherd community. And then this final prayer. May he, Govinda, the Lord of the cows and the destroyer of Indra's false pride, be pleased with us. Giri Govardhana ki jai, Shri Giridhari ki jai, Giridharana ki jai. Oh, glory to Shri Prabhupada. Yes. I don't. Last time I got in trouble for staying late, so now I only. I am Sharanam now. Whatever happens is not my fault.
Guru, thank you so much. I feel like I gained insight on the Govardhan pastime. Thank you, Govardhan. And I really appreciated the timeline. I've never heard that before. And it was cool. And I was confused. I have two questions. The Indra waited a day, like you said, like there's
there's a day in there.
Yeah, I was like,
yeah, oftentimes we try to compact the whole pastime in a single day, but again, for those who really appreciate it, they'll stretch it out. So yeah, there's a day there. They're just like what happens after you guys have a big feast, right? You're like, need some extra rest, and he's just feeling like the whole day you're just like on top of the world. That was so fun. And it's sometimes like we have a 12-hour kirtan, so the kirtan will ring in your ears for like a whole day, and you just like feel so satisfied.
So was Indra just like ruminating? Or?
Well, he was like, he was doing his Indra stuff, but then it was like, what day is it today? Oh, wait a minute. Yesterday I was supposed to get all this nice stuff from. I never got it. What's happening? And he sent spies, and they said, yes, because Indra, they come up. Yes, well, yeah, they didn't offer you the stuff, no. And he said, well, what did? Well, they offered it to this hill. So you can just imagine, Indra like, what? Who is in charge there? Well, everything is like under Krishna's control. And he said, this little boy. So yeah, it took some time for him to get the anger and because the Govardhan Puja ceremony we don't hear as being disrupted by rain. It was, they circumambulated. They had a whole day of festival day. And then there was that day where there was Indra getting the information from the spies. This is happening, that's happening. And even throughout his whole torrents, he was getting, okay, now tell me tell me what's going on. So yeah, we can't see anybody. And he was like feeling so happy. He was feeling so happy because when you're looking down and you just see the mountain, you don't see anybody else. And he was like so happy. And he said, "You now go and be sure." And then they went again and they looked and they saw, well, actually there's some light coming under, because underneath the hill You know, when we pick up a rock like that's been sitting in the ground, what do we think is on, we get worms and little, roots and things. It's all danky and yucky. But when Krishna lifted, the whole manifestation of his potencies manifested like these jeweled walkways, ponds and rivers and perfect grass for the cows and even houses. Everything was there manifest. Govardhan supplies everything. So even supplied that. Tava Navagriha Rupa Shantarve Kurvataiva. Underneath, he established a whole new house for his devotees. And so when they saw that, they said, well, actually, and then he said, send more and more and more. And then it keeps getting reports, nothing's happening. Everybody, all I hear is, loud happiness and laughing and, and so Indra's like, okay, there's somebody, I've made a mistake. And we can, just to finish out our timeline before our time is up, after the Dasami, the Dasami is when the wonderful Krishna happened. That's next Friday. Then on Saturday, our 12-hour kirtan is a very special day in this pastime. It is the Kartik Shukla Ekadasi, and on that day was when repentant Indra went to Surabhi and to do worship and the Abhishek of Krishna, in which the Govinda Kun became manifest. So this is also a day that the devotees that, they really become contemplative, like really contemplate, well, have I made offenses? What offenses have I made? Let me offer, ask for my forgiveness. So it's a perfect day for our kirtan. We don't have to worry about eating so much because it's Ekadasi, and we don't have to worry about so many things. We come and we chant Hare Krishna. Oh, glory to Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you very much.